with our broadcast this afternoon. And this is now the segment Voices from Palestine, and together with the Palestine Solidarity Alliance. Now, this genocide that has been unfolding in Palestine has actually given new meaning to a lot, and also in terms of vocabulary. We hear of genocide, but together with genocide, we've seen so many other types of CIDEs, sides, whether we're talking of journalists being killed, genocide, medicide, medical doctors, medical facilities, feticide, fetuses, babycide, babies that have been killed. And all of this has actually given new meaning to this word and associated words as well. And have we, for one moment, actually thought with all these bombs that have been raining on Gaza for 18 months, relentless, non-stop, what has this done to the environment? And yeah, we are talking about ecocide because this is another casualty of this war that is taking place, and how the relentless bombardment by this brutal Zionist entity is poisoning Gaza, its land, its water, and its air. And this is the reason why we are talking with solidarity activists and also climate justice activists who works in communicating the interconnectivity of struggle, and with a specific focus on climate crisis and its solutions to youth, to communities, and to corporates. We're joined by none other than Sunny Morgan. Sunny, welcome to the show, and absolute pleasure having you with us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation. I see I get a repeat invitation every now and then. It's my great pleasure to be on this platform that serves such a fantastic need in our community. Happy to be.
Well, the reason why you're getting a repeat invitation is because you're doing such an exceptional job, Sunny.
Thanks very much.
Right. Sunny, I was talking about genocide and the meaning it's given to so many associated words with this genocide. And today we want to talk about this other casualty of war, an area of expertise, an area that you're so passionate about. And we're talking about ecocide, and we're talking about this crisis that is being created within the environment. We're talking about poisoning land, water, air, and all of this. At the end of the day, one must recognize the fact that for someone like yourself, being a climate justice activist, and also in terms of social justice, and I know you are very passionate about these things, just your thoughts and what we see in all that rubble, in that mountains of rubble at this point in time in Gaza, in a small strip of Gaza at this point in time. But what is it doing to the environment?
Thanks very much. I'm going to talk to you about ecocide, right? So we need to understand what this term ecocide means. Ecocide basically means the destruction of ecosystems to the extent that it harms the lives of people, animals, and future generations. It actually comes from the Greek word oikos, which is home, and side, which is killing. Simply put, it means the killing of our own home, which is the earth. It includes massive deforestation, industrial pollution, oil spills, radioactive contamination, the bombing and poisoning of land, air, and water during war. There's a growing call to make ecocide an international crime alongside genocide and war crimes because it causes irreversible harm to all of us. So we live in an interconnected system. We need to understand this, right? Destroying forests in one region can affect rainfall in another. So polluting the oceans, the rivers, or the air in war zones travels far beyond borders. Ecocide fuels also climate collapse, biodiversity loss, food insecurity, and displacement. All of these affect what is happening in Gaza. All of the most affected are always the most vulnerable: the poor, indigenous communities, people in conflict zones, in war zones, and those who contribute the very least to environmental destruction. So what drives it? War is one of the greatest environmental crimes. Bombing cities destroys water systems, agriculture, and biodiversity. Military jets and tanks release extreme amounts of CO2 and toxic chemicals The US Army alone, if it was a country, it would be the 47th most polluting nation on the planet. Explosives contaminate the soil and groundwater for decades. Even till today in Vietnam, Agent Orange that was dropped in the Vietnam War still affects people, and people are also still having the effects of the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Explosives contaminate the soil and groundwater for a long period of time. And obviously, when they bomb, they flatten areas, forests are cleared, rivers are poisoned, and animals are killed off. All this is often intentional. It relates to the scorched earth policies, right? It's also the theft of resources, because they're after the gas of the coast of Gaza, and environmental destruction used as weapons of war. But this particular thing of ecocide is not just the genocide in Palestine, but there's ecocide in Palestine. In Palestine, ecocide is happening right alongside genocide. Gaza's water is now undrinkable. Over 97% is contaminated. Israel bombed the last remaining desalination plants and water pipelines. And water, as you know, is impossible to live without water. And people are literally drinking sewage water. They have no access to clean running water. Farmlands are being bombed, destroyed, not only their food sources, but generations of traditional farming culture is being destroyed. Olive groves, which are so central to the Palestinian livelihood, sacred in a way. Some of the olive groves were there for thousands of years, are completely now uprooted and burnt as an act of vengeance by the Israeli occupation forces. This is both an ecological and a cultural erasure, because they want to dismember people, not just physically, but also from the land. And destroying the olive groves is like such a cruel and evil activity and an act of war that will be remembered for generations. Sewage systems have totally collapsed in Gaza, leading to disease outbreaks. As you can see, dogs are even eating on human flesh. Now, white phosphorus, which is a chemical that is banned for use in civilian areas and banned even in war in some areas, has been dropped on Gaza by the maybe hundreds of tons at a time. It poisons the land and people and can burn through flesh right down to the bone. The air and the sea and the soil are contaminated. It will take a generation to undo the contamination. And obviously, as it builds up it builds up in the skin, it builds up in the hair, and it's almost unlivable, even if they stop the war tomorrow. This is just not war. This is ecocide. It will haunt generations to come. If we want peace, we must also seek planetary justice. So even how inhumane it is, the genocide, if the ICJ stop the genocide tomorrow, if the Israelis wake up out of their hatred and out of their slumber and stop this war tomorrow, the ecocide part of it will still be there for a generation. I read somewhere that just to clear the rubble, I'm not even talking about rebuilding, just to clear the rubble will take 10 to 15 years. There's just so much of it. Ecocide must be punished as a crime. When we are taking people to the ICJ, countries to the ICJ, individuals to the ICC, we need to be even taking them to the ICC for ecocide. In some countries, ecocide is already a crime. In Ecuador, ecocide is a crime. It's entrenched in their legal system, the protection of nature. In certain other South American countries, it's also protected, and there's a growing movement, and the Stop Ecocide movement is it's a global movement. Even that movement is beginning to galvanize into action to form a coalition that will make this ecocide a crime the world over. Nothing stops us, even in South Africa, through all our legal processes now, and worldwide, environmental agencies, environmental organizations, climate justice organizations, to launch more cases against Israel. And today we can do it for ecocide, which we obviously focusing on the genocide, which is objective number one. We want to stop the genocide. We want to stop the occupation. But we have this tool in our toolkit to be able to go after them as well for ecocide.
Well, Sonny, you've given such a comprehensive account on ecocide. And what we'll do is let us just go for a quick ad break. We'll come back because you've actually just piqued my interest on a subject that personally I hadn't thought of, and I don't think many of us have actually thought of because we've been so caught up in this genocide in terms of loss of life, all of that, that not forgetting what ecocide really is. And I think you've painted such a beautiful picture, and I think it's something that's definitely worth exploring a lot more. But we'll do that after this break.
Thank you.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Freedom Stationery supply Marlin and Marlin Kids pens to me and my school friends. They supply just about everything we need to help us get a better education, from books to files to rulers. In fact, any any accessory we need. Freedom Stationery. Education for the nation. What does accessory mean?
More than 800 million people around the world live in deep poverty, uncertain of where the next meal will come from. For those on the brink of starvation, a food pack means survival, dignity, and hope. Send food. Send kindness. Be the reason a family does not go hungry. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic Sharia and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Valley's Motor Spares. We supply motor spares and accessories for all makes and models of motor cars, LDVs, buckies, trucks, and earth-moving equipment. We deliver on time, every time. Please contact us via WhatsApp on 014-592-0925 or call 014-592-0925 or visit 28 Zenderling Street, Rustenburg. Remember the name, Valley's Motor Spares.
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
Well, we continue our Voices from Palestine segment together with the Palestine Solidarity Alliance. And my guest this afternoon is Sunny Morgan, solidarity activist and also climate justice activist. And we are talking about ecocide, and we're talking about ecocide being the other casualty of war, which many of us, I would say, haven't even thought about. And what Sunny is obviously saying is how this is actually impacted on Gaza, on the people of Gaza, on the environment, on the air, and all of this put together now tells us that obviously this is a serious crime, Sunny, a crime against humanity. And you mentioned, taking this thing up legally as well, so that people responsible for ecocide should be held to account. So this crime against humanity is not only about physically killing people, it's about what it's actually done to the environment.
No, it's absolutely true. For let's see how serious it's been taken around the world. Countries like Ecuador recognizes the rights of nature in its 2008 constitution. It allows legal action to be taken on behalf of the ecosystem. This was used very successfully to stop illegal mining in protected and indigenous areas. In Bolivia, they passed the law of the rights of Mother Nature in 2010, which recognizes nature as a legal entity with its own rights. Mexico has certain states that have criminalized environmental destruction. In 2022, a bill was passed at the federal level to include ecocide in the penal laws. In France, they added ecocide law for severe environmental offenses. In the Ukraine and in Vietnam as well. And as I said before, there's a growing campaign led by Stop Ecocide International to amend the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, the document that brings the ICC into existence, to amend it to recognize ecocide as the fifth international crime. So that will go alongside genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and crimes of aggression. So it's time to stop treating the environmental destruction as just some collateral damage. In Palestine, we are seeing a genocide, but right alongside the ecocide. The land, the rivers, the trees, the air are all under attack, and we can't separate one from the other. Justice means prosecuting those who do not only kill people, but to poison the earth directly. Ecocide means there's a whole destruction, right? So if it's like that, then what we need to go after in our legal cases is who? The CEOs of the companies who are enabling the ecocide. Caterpillar, all of the companies that are on a BDS boycott list, the companies who make the bombs, the companies who make the uniforms for the soldiers, the companies who make the planes. All around the world, there are companies directly implicit in the genocide and by default, the ecocide. So we have a long list of organizations, companies, individuals that we can go after, and we can do that with laws that are specific to the destruction of humanity itself. So we have like this famous quote from Vedanta Singh that says that we are being faced with ecocide, the destruction of our humanity, our very place of abode, and the rich and the powerful are responsible. The rich and the powerful who take us, the global south, poor people, indigenous people, just as tools that can be used in one way, eradicated, destroyed, as long as there's profit. So we have a lot of tools in our toolkit. We just haven't effectively used it because, like I said, the most important thing is to go after the genociders. But the most important thing is also to make sure that there's a livable planet for those who remain after us, and we owe it to ourselves and to the future generation to do everything in our power to do that. Because now ecocide is a weapon. Bombing farmland is a weapon, destroying the plants, destroying the water, destroying the olive groves, all of this, because they want the land flattened completely. They don't realize that we have this extra judicial legal lever that we can pull. And I think what we need to do is we need to explore these kind of avenues more intensely over the coming months, over the coming years.
Well, you certainly have answered my question because I was going to ask, who do we go after and who do we hold accountable? And you mentioned, the CEOs of the various companies that obviously are supporting this genocidal Zionist entity called Israel. And these are the people one needs to go after. But also, I think just finally, in terms of creating awareness and a global movement against ecocide. Now, I know, as far as climate is concerned, the environment is concerned, there are many movements, there are global movements as well, and many countries, very, very powerful movements as well. But just with ecocide in itself as well, just looking at the possibility, or is there such a movement that actually exists globally that could actually put global pressure and obviously ultimately to achieve the ultimate game, the ultimate game is to obviously to bring those to book, particularly those that are committing this crime against humanity.
Yeah, so certainly. I would say that listeners, people who are interested, can like just join their local environmental organization there, and there are so many. And even in your church or your mosque or your youth group or your sporting bodies, everything is connected. But yes, there is a global organization called the Stop Ecocide Campaign International. Right, so it's actually called Stop Ecocide International. So it is a global organization. It's a global north. Located at the moment, but they have activities and branches around the world, particularly in indigenous communities and on the continent, on the African continent. So there are branches in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, all around. There's probably one in South Africa as well. So Stop Ecocide International. They would be the campaign that the campaign that will be looking after this part of the justice aspect of the climate crisis. But nothing stops a young group of lawyers, interns, to come together and put a case forward. We know the group of this new group that started that's going to take cases to the ICC. The legal opportunity is there for young new lawyers, a legal firm, an environmental organization, an affected community, an indigenous community, to launch a case themselves in their own capacity. It would be really, really beneficial if a local, and I'm talking about worldwide, right? I'm saying whether it's in Palestine, whether it's in Gaza, whether it's in the West Bank, whether it's in South Africa, in the Amazon, in the Congo, to put a case for ecocide forward. And there's a template, there's a legal format. You just have to be able to say, I've identified this activity, this is how it affects me or my community or my country, and put this case forward. Of course, it's not as simple as I'm saying it is, but the prototype case, the first inaugural case for that on the continent hasn't happened yet. It's obviously, as I said, happened in South America in a number of places. But if one came out of Gaza itself, if one came out of, and an international legal firm can do it on behalf of the community, I think that will be groundbreaking.
Well, certainly will be, Sunny. In fact, I think you've obviously brought in another dimension to this entire discussion and the discussions that we have been having over the last 18 months on the genocide. And it's a dimension that certainly needs to be explored. And as you mentioned, that there are opportunities. So I'm sure at some point in time, we will obviously touch base with you again, and possibly with like-minded people like yourselves who have a great deal of knowledge and also interest in the subject matter of ecocide, and particularly in the case of Gaza. And I'm sure it will make a very, very clear example of what this crime is all about. Like South Africa has done, taken this case for genocide to the ICJ and the ICC, and a case like this taken, I'm sure, would obviously raise many an eyebrow as well against what we're seeing that is taking place. But Sunny, we thank you. We do appreciate you taking time out this afternoon with us right here on Salam Media to be part of the Voices from Palestine series that we have been running throughout the month of Ramadan. And I must say, it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us all. Please take care.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity again. Salam.
Walaikum salam. Sunny Morgan joining us this afternoon. And with that, we're going to go for a quick break. And it is time for the Athar Adhan, Athar Salah. We'll be back and take you through until 5:30 to Maulana Yunus Kawanga.